At this point, the banker then says, why don't we go ahead and close this loan as a pre-closing? I'll sell the house, I'll do the paperwork, so the seller will sell the house to you, the buyer. The seller will sign the paperwork, and now the seller's done. He can walk away. And the appraisal that he gave us for the home shows that the home is in fact worth $100,000, so we'll file that appraisal away as well. So we're done with the appraisal and we're done with the seller. Now, hey, Mr. Buyer, you and I now have an arrangement where if you want to buy this house under the energy improvement mortgage and you want it to meet code, we're willing to give you the extra $5,000 under this energy improvement mortgage, and we'll escrow that money so that these improvements can be done, so that when you move it to the home, it does meet code. So we'll stick $5,000 into an escrow account. Go ahead and contact your energy rater and tell them that we're going to do this energy improvement mortgage. And then I know you've already got bids from contractors for the furnace replacement, for the new windows, and for the air sealing package. So tell them to go ahead and proceed on these and get them done right away. So the buyer gets the improvement package, the improvement items started. Then the home energy rater, he or she comes back when all the improvements are done and double checks to make sure that the work has been performed in a satisfactory manner. If so, the new analysis using the software program that does the rating indicates that the home does now in fact meet code. We take this form, the buyer takes the form back to the lender, and the lender says, this is fantastic. I'll give you the $5,000 now, or actually what they do is they release the $5,000 to pay for the furnace replacement, for the new windows, for the air sealing package. So everybody gets paid. Now the buyer does have a little bit higher loan. Instead of borrowing $100,000, he has now borrowed $105,000. But let's just say, for the sake of keeping the math straight, $5,000 over a 30-year loan only translates into a monthly increase of payment of $20. This may not be exactly right, but I'm just using simple math here. So the buyer is willing to pay $20 more in his mortgage because he knows, based on the analysis, that he's actually going to save $40 a month, let's say, on his energy bills. In fact, let's make this math a little simpler yet. Let's say the $5,000 in this mortgage loan, the energy improvement mortgage, has turned into save the buyer about $1,000 a year. And that makes it easier for me to explain the next part here. This probably translates to about $80-some a month. So the buyer now has a home that he makes a little bit bigger payments on, but he saves around $80 a month in utility bills. Everybody's happy so far and everything's done, right? Actually not. This is the best part about the energy improvement mortgage that most people don't understand. Now recall that I said that the seller sold the home for $100,000 to the buyer for using a appraisal that said the home was worth $100,000. So all that's good. That's just like any other transaction that's happened historically across the United States. Buyer buys home, seller sells home, if the home does in fact appraise out for what they want to do in terms of the loan, and the banker then gives the money to the seller and the buyer starts making payments. It's very simple. We all know that scenario. But under an energy improvement mortgage, we've now done some improvements to the home, but they're offset by the energy savings. So still, the buyer is money ahead to go ahead and conduct those improvements, typically, and again the software will show this, that the energy savings monthly and annually more than offset the increased mortgage payment. But here's the best part. If in fact you go use and all these energy mortgages have some form of formula like this, but we'll talk about what's called the FHA 203K Streamline Loan. In that paperwork it'll say, how much did this home appraise for when you wanted to buy this home? And we know from this scenario that's $100,000. The next box will say, what will it take to bring this home up to code? And we'll put in that thing $5,000 in that box. Now the next box says, what does this save in terms of annual energy savings? And it's not quite this simple, but this is in fact what's happening. So we put in that third box $1,000 a year. Now what this really means in terms of federal regulations is that for every dollar you save in annual energy savings as shown by a IRS and federally approved program such as a rating software program, that has been, an industry standard program, if it shows that you save $1,000 a year in energy payments, Every dollar saved in energy payments is equal to a $20 improvement in the appraisal value of a home. Now follow me on this, because this is where I lose everybody. The first box said the home was worth $100,000 when the buyer and the lender basically sat down and initiated the deal. The second box said it cost $5,000 to improve the home to meet code. The third box says that we are now saving $1,000 a year for this buyer, which more than offsets his increased mortgage payments. But the best part yet is that this $1,000 times $20 per dollar, in other words, every dollar saved annually in energy savings is the $20 improvement in appraised value. So now this home is now in fact worth $20,000 more. Now this is an exaggerated example, but it is exactly what happens. So now this is where, folks, I've had people argue with me when I do this seminar. Well, now the appraiser has to come in and no. It doesn't work like that. The appraiser is done. If you recall, the buyer and the seller sat down with the banker, and the appraisal was then for the home in the original condition. Everything was basically closed on the preliminary closing based on the appraisal. The improvements were done. The annual energy savings was shown to be $1,000 a year. We take 1,000 times 20, that's $20,000. All the lender does at this point in time, very simply, is writes down that the home, the $100,000 home, now has an additional $20,000 improved valuation, and closes the loan as a $120,000 loan and sends that paperwork back to FHA. There is no appraiser involved at this point in time. And that's what's been kind of a problem in the past, is that appraisers have not been able to give valuations for energy improvements, and a lot of times for green improvements or solar systems, you name it, because unless all the homes in the neighborhood, or a number of those homes in the neighborhood, have the same improvements where he or she can do what's called a, they look across the broad spectrum of homes and see if there's like homes that sell. Comparables, basically, is what I'm trying to say. If they can't find comparables in their vicinity to use to say your home does in fact get a boost in value due to your solar system or due to your energy improvements or whatever, typically what they'll do is say, I cannot give you any valuation for the fact that you have a new furnace, a new air conditioner, better windows or whatever. Maybe a little bit, but not anything probably comparable to what you spent. However, if you do the energy improvement mortgage, you do get a boost in the appraised value of your home based on your annual energy savings. Irregardless, it has nothing to do with the original appraisal, and it does not involve an appraiser. It involves the regulations that say the dollar saved is worth $20 in improved value. So in theory, now if you followed me so far, in theory, if we were to go out in mass as a whole group, like an army of energy auditors / energy raiders, and go through all these homes that are losing value across the country and say, why don't we do energy improvement mortgages on them? And then when we do these energy improvement mortgages, we'll take the annual energy saved shown by the software after the improvements are made, and we will show that these houses are now worth more after we've improved them than they were before. And so we can start turning around the home devaluation that's happening across the country and start turning it into a home improvement upgrade in the value of homes. In other words, we turn this around and make homes start being worth more again in mass across the country. I'm going to give you a couple more examples at the end of the seminar, but I wanted that one to get out there first to get your brain thinking about how this might work for not only you and your community, but how you can see that there's a number of green jobs can be created, because we're talking about energy auditors, energy raiders, insulators, furnace and air conditioning people, window replacement people, storm doors, insulation, weather stripping, etc., etc., etc. All these jobs, green jobs, will be created if we do this and we do it correctly.